Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another discussion video I have with DevilNeverCry. I know you guys are getting a little burnt out on discussion videos, but we had to talk about this new panel that just came around, and it helps to have another person talk about it with you. Now, before we get into the discussion too much, I want to say that a lot of you have been pretty anxious about my non-DevilNeverCry content. That stuff is coming very soon. I don't want to get into too much details about that, but just hold tight for that. But for now, let's get into this panel. So there's a lot more things revealed, but before we get into that, DevilNeverCry, you want to go ahead and introduce yourself again?
Yeah, what is going on, guys? It's me, DevilNeverCry. Thanks for having me back on the channel, Half Pint.
Of course, anytime. It's always fun talking with people, not gonna lie. So we were gonna try to have RK in here. He's a guy that had a little bit hands-on time with the Dante gameplay, but he was currently busy at the moment, so we will try to get a hold of him in the future. But let's go ahead and talk about that gameplay. So, with that first thing we got going on there, you told me something about a Nero talking to Nico about having a father killed. Like, where did this come from in the panel?
Right, so the panel wasn't streamed, which I think is a big mishap because we got a lot of information. And one of the things that wasn't recorded, unfortunately, was this opening cutscene that we see Nero and Nico talking to each other. But there have been a lot of people reporting that Nero does like go ahead and say, like, you know, how does it feel to be like going after or rescuing the person that killed your father? And everyone's basically has took that to mean that Agnus is Nico's father, because obviously Nico comes from a long line of crazy like scientists, so Agnus is the only one that seems to fit. Right,
yeah. It's we don't really know anyone else that would fit that description. I mean, Dante is not known for just being a straight up murderer. I mean, unless you watch that first scene in Devil May Cry 4 where he kills the Pope. But
yeah, I was gonna say.
Here's the weird thing, though. I can't really take that seriously because we all saw that scene of Dante killing Agnus, and it was kind of joking around. I mean, I get it. It actually happened in the story, but I mean, at the end of the day, it seems such like a silly thing to focus around that being, oh yeah, he was the man that murdered your father. He did it with excellent poetry.
Yeah, well, I mean, that's the thing. Like, we don't exactly know the context of this, but I mean, it kind of does make sense. I mean, if we like go into the leak sort of alludes to like Nero having access to like order documents and whatnot.
Yeah.
So maybe like Nico's after the works of her father.
It's possible. I can still see the connection between Nico and Agnus because honestly, they do look pretty similar. I mean, facial structure. They even have the same looking teeth. I mean, like minor details like that. They do look pretty similar to each other.
I mean, I haven't looked at Agnus or his dental records, but you clearly have.
No, it's just the buck teeth I notice when they talk in gameplay. It's not on purpose. Swear to God. All right, so let's move on. Well, this next part is photo mode. I mean, shown. Oh, shown. Oh, that's different. So they actually showed off the photo mode.
Yeah, they apparently they went on record to say that it's like a versatile photo mode. You can just like it's like a standard current gen game. You just, you know, hit a button, everything freezes, and you can take photos.
Right, I imagine it'd be a lot similar to the new Spider-Man game, or Shadow of the Tomb Raider. I noticed also had a photo mode where you could hit the pause button anytime there's a photo mode you could click on, and then you could just move the camera anywhere, and you could put like these weird looking Instagram filters on there. Next we have Kaylee Ann 2 revealed. 2? That doesn't sound familiar to me. There's a second version now?
Yeah, it's pretty weird. I mean, they didn't actually show any gameplay of the Kaylee Ann, but they stated that it's back, and Nico apparently makes this version of it, which, hey, it's cool. I don't know, like it's unexpected, I guess.
Yeah, I don't know if it's gonna come through story progression or if that might just end up being a weapon that you have to straight up buy from the store, which would be odd for DMC, but I mean, I could see something potentially happening similar to that.
Yeah, it definitely could be. who knows? I mean, the naming is a bit weird. I'll definitely say.
Right. My guess is if they don't do it with the weapon, they'll probably do it with something else, because they did talk about how red orbs, when you purchase skills and other sort of stuff, the purchases stay stagnant now. They don't move up every time you buy something. So it's possible that you can buy it from the beginning of the game, but it's gonna be like an obnoxious price. So technically, you can't even buy it till towards the end of the game.
Yeah, makes sense.
So the next weapon we have on the line is the Cerberus, as we all know from Devil May Cry 3. I actually had to ask him earlier to make sure that it was from the game. It's been a hot minute since I've played Devil May Cry 3. However, this time around, Cerberus is different. You want to go ahead and elaborate on our beautiful returning weapon?
Right, so very, very different. Of course, we see some short gameplay of Cerberus, and Dante seems to have all his old moves, so like the moveset from 3 returns. But then we get like 2 other different modes where we have Dante like interlock the head of the nunchucks and like create a staff, and that somehow got like a fire element attached to it. Don't know how that works, but hey. And then we get like sort of like an electrified whip, and we see some gameplay of that, and it looks crazy. Like the effects in particular are just all over the place. It's wild, and again, it's a throwback to an old weapon. So I guess you get the nostalgia factor there, but then they've added in some new things to sort of entice people to use it, which is pretty cool.
That is for sure, and I do have to give a shout out to the effects team on that, because the weapons do look absolutely spectacular, and that's not me just talking out my ass. I'm being serious about that. They look great, and just from the gameplay alone, of course you're going to be familiar with it if you've played any of the Devil May Cry games before, especially the 4th game. But, I mean, though that one in particular, Cerberus, looks very reminiscent of Warframe. Like the bow staff, it looks very, very familiar. And I don't mean the way like copy and paste, but I mean like if you played Warframe before, you might feel pretty comfortable using the Cerberus. So that's very exciting for some Warframe players out there. My favorite had to have been the electric whip, and not because of the gameplay, but because every single time Dante used it, he made some weird ninja noise going "Hoo-ah!" Like every time he did it. It was fantastic.
Yeah, I mean, I guess Dante's getting older, but he's still young at heart.
That is true. I mean, I don't know how much older he is since he's a demon and all, but I'm sure we'll find out more when Devil May Cry comes out.
Hopefully.
So, I don't know what this next one is that you were talking about. Cavalier Swordmaster shown? Is that just more the Cavalier gameplay with the Swordmaster style?
Yeah, we got a look at some more moves from the Cavalier, which, it's something we've seen. Like, we've seen the weapon before, but we hadn't seen these particular moves. But yeah, just because, yeah,
that's definitely true. Because watching the video sent, which I'll go ahead and display it on screen for you guys right now, the whole crowd was going nuts. They were just sitting there shouting and going crazy every time the combo kept going. Like, oh, he's going to get. Jeez! It was great. It was fantastic watching
screaming.
Yeah,
of course, man.
Crazy stuff. Up next was Balrog. However, there wasn't really anything new here. I mean, we've already seen plenty of it in game itself from plenty of Dante gameplay showcases, and I still have yet to see the specific dodge move from the trailer. We saw some strafing in this new showcase, but I never saw that weird dodge move.
Yeah, I don't know what that's about. Maybe a Swordmaster move, or God forbid they somehow managed to get Trickster involved there, but I doubt that's a Trickster move.
Maybe. I mean, it's possible. Maybe it's possible that it is Trickster and you use whatever that strafe move is, but if you time it just right, like a Royal Guard move, maybe you do specific dodges, but I mean, I've never really been a big Trickster or Royal Guard user, so I can't speak too much input on that sort of stuff.
Fair enough. I mean, yeah, it was nothing new, but they're completely sort of unrelated to what we got at the panel. There's been some rumors floating about that you start with Balrog, and like you don't actually have to fight a boss to get a hold of it, which is weird.
I mean,
don't know if you've heard that.
I haven't heard about that, but I mean, if they tried doing something like that, it wouldn't surprise me. This is Hideaki we're talking about. He does try doing different things per game, like shooting a pope at the beginning of the game, for instance.
Yeah, that was some quality commentary on society. Yeah.
Don't worry, I'll do a pope joke for a third time by the end of this podcast. Just you wait. All right, so this next one. This one has me concerned, and I'm sure it's going to have other people concerned after the microtransactions, but people were very stern on talking about how this works specifically. It's called, I don't want to pronounce it wrong, Faust, I mean.
Yeah, Faust, however you want to pronounce it.
Yeah, so the weapon works by, he wears a fedora, and he has this glowing scarf that goes around his neck. And he uses the scarf to summon abilities, and he can put hats onto other enemies. It looked like when he put the hat on the other enemy and he was still attacking it, I mean, some people guess that it turns that demon to your ally. My guess is that it probably applies it as a debuff. If you have a hat or fedora on one of your enemies, you apply like a damage debuff on them.
Potentially. I mean, we saw the enemy sort of just like freeze. It didn't really do much.
True,
so...
but that wasn't the training mode, though.
Yeah, I guess you could say that.
Anything's possible. So, the concerning part, though, is the fact that the scarf, for its attacks, now use red orbs. But people were very particular talking about how when you use these red orb attacks, when you kill the enemy, you get more red orbs back. Now, again, this is the same discussion I had last time we were talking about microtransactions. As hardcore players, I think we're fine. But for anyone careless who's getting to the game for the first time, this seems like another problem for them to lose red orbs and for them needing to purchase red orbs.
Yeah, I mean, I can definitely understand where you're coming from there. It's sort of strange in the way it works, but like considering that using the weapon will like, you know, have a net positive effect on the amount of red orbs you actually have. I don't really think it's gonna be much of a problem. I think the bigger problem is people like who are uninformed about the game are just like, oh, it's a weapon that makes you use red orbs. Look, Capcom's pushing for you to use microtransactions. Boycott DMC5. Brick my console and never touch your game again.
Right. Yeah. Hopefully that won't happen. But I know what you mean. There are some people out there that are gonna straight up do that without looking into it. The meteor strike didn't look like it gave red orbs, but I can't talk there because, again, we didn't see the training enemy die. So it's possible if that meteor move would kill the demon, which I'm pretty sure it would. It looks like it did a lot of damage. It'd probably give a shit ton of orbs back.
Yeah, no doubt.
So that is definitely an interesting move. I do want to see that one come out, though. I'm not going to be on the full mode of hating it because it looks like the replacement for Lucifer, because Lucifer was kind of underrated in DevilNeverCry 4, but
yeah,
it's got more style this time around, whatever you want to call it this time.
Yeah, some insane Michael Jackson or, you know, JoJo's poses going on there.
Oh god. So this next one, Sweet Surrender, I was right about one thing. It vibrates, but it's not an attack. Apparently it's completely used for healing Nero. Is that right?
Yep.
That is interesting. That's definitely interesting. It's more of a mechanical, or I know what's the word I'm looking for. I don't know. A utility. Thank you. It's a utility-based arm instead of just straight up different types of damage against enemies. What's your input on that?
Yeah, it's interesting. I mean, they did say that none of the deluxe edition arms wouldn't be like overpowered or make the game super easy. And looking at like what we saw, it didn't seem to heal you too much. I mean, they did obviously state that if you get hit, it obviously breaks. Like the main concern, I guess, is the fact that they haven't actually said whether or not we'll be able to get the Sweet Surrender or any of the other like deluxe edition arms if we don't pre-order the deluxe edition arms or the deluxe edition of the game.
Right. I mean, I guess you can buy individually, and seeing how they're individual DLCs, they might not be in the game. But my concern is, because I don't think we saw it, what's the breakage for that arm? Because what's the point of having this healing arm if that's all it does is heal, when you get attacked, you lose it. I mean, that seems kind of contradictory.
Yeah, who knows? I mean, maybe it acts like a potential revive. I don't know. That's reaching, but or maybe the breakage is just like a super heal.
I would say it would need to be the last arm in your roster. So after you go through a couple devil arms, you can go ahead and use Sweet Surrender to heal yourself. And I don't know, maybe the breakage ability is just breaking the arm to heal yourself more. I really don't know. It seems kind of odd overall.
Yeah, that makes sense.
But hopefully it pans out, because I do love utility used abilities like this in games. I mean, it's nice to see stuff that's not just for attacks, right? Because that's why I play a lot of Destiny. There's a lot of different buffs and debuffs and stuff. Makes it puts a little spice into the gameplay.
Yeah, for sure.
So up next we have Posture Breaker, which is another type of utility-based arm. According to this, it says you can use it to switch the order of the Devil Breakers.
Yeah, very, very interesting, considering a lot of the fans were sort of a bit annoyed at the fact that we can't, like, switch breakers on the fly without, like, having to break an arm, and then even then you're not able to, like, actually pick what comes next. Apparently this arm is just, like, its main purpose is to switch the order of your arms. So it's, and it's just funny that that's just been relegated to a DLC breaker.
Yeah, actually, that's a good point. That's a really good point. God damn, I'm trying not to look at that negatively, but that's a really good point. So, I mean, I don't know how that's gonna work in game though. I mean, you can change the order of like each arm in there, but it sounds like that would like almost pause the game or like pause the action, so you can switch that up. I guess we're gonna have to wait to see some sort of gameplay or more of a discussion on specifically how that works. Maybe the panel had it, but since it wasn't live streamed, it's been kind of difficult to get that info out.
Yeah, I mean, who knows? I'm assuming like the switching will like might be random, but then even then that would just be like, well, like what's the point? You still can't switch to what you want to switch to.
Right. So this next one is Cavalier R. This is one we knew that was basically a reskin of Cavalier, but apparently this one also has a new air move, which I never saw in any of these videos.
Yeah, apparently it supposedly has some sort of like air stinger move. But the main drawback or offset from that is the fact that you no longer have super armor on any of your moves. So like you can attempt to charge something and you can easily just be hit out of it.
I didn't know about that.
Which is interesting. I mean, I don't know if the weapon is faster or a little stronger, but the loss of super armor seems to be like a major drawback.
Yeah, it seems like a heavy hitter, glass cannon sort of scenario for that weapon. Which,
yeah,
I'm not as interested in that one as I am some of these other weapons, especially Cerberus, for example.
Yeah.
I don't see that one being too different. I mean, maybe it'll do significantly more damage than the Cavalier, or maybe it's just more versatile. It's possible it's just faster than the regular Cavalier, which again, kind of iffy that's a DLC, but that's just something that's going to keep popping in my mind until the game comes out. I can't speak too much on that until we can actually get hands-on impressions for the game.
Yeah, until we know more.
So the thing goes on to say that there will be no collections or no collector's edition of the game unless there's a high demand for one, which no doubt there will be a high demand for it. We just don't know if we're going to see it or not. It depends if... I think it's more dependent on sales. I think they're waiting on sales and not demand for it.
Yeah, I mean, like, obviously people ask for collector's editions, and it's like, well, if there really was going to be one, then they'd have just, like, announced it when they announced the rest of the, like, editions at, like, TGS. But then again, at the same time, I'm kind of like, it's kind of strange, because, like, they know DMC has such a high demand, like, why not just... Like, even if it's just like a Steelbook edition or anything, man, it's weird.
Yeah, I mean, we already have Capcom doing a huge advertisement campaign for DevilNeverCry ever since it's been advertised, or first shown off at E3. We had the E3 trailer, we had Gamescom showing off Nero, teasing Dante, and then we see Dante. Like, this is obviously one long campaign that's been planned out for this game because they knew that there's people anticipating it for quite some time. So it is kind of odd that there is no collector's edition of the game yet, and the fact that it's supposedly Hideaki's last Devil May Cry game as well. Not to be confused with a last Devil May Cry game, because that's still up in the air for the future.
Yeah.
So
it's fairly surprising, yeah.
The last thing to touch upon is turbo mode. No comment, as we heard from the panel. I don't see why turbo mode wouldn't come out in the game. It's kind of become a standard, but if it's not, I would honestly be surprised. But at this point, I'd be more surprised if they haven't put a custom speed in there. Like, come on. We've had it in 2 other games by now. Grant, one of them was by Ninja Theory, but why not add a custom speed there? You want to play at like 200% speed? You're not going to be able to hit anything, but you know what? Let the player do that. That'd be a lot of fun. But anyways, that's all we have for the panel. If you guys have more stuff, be sure to let us know in the comment section below, because I'm sure there's some stuff we didn't talk about because we actually didn't get to see the panels for ourselves. You didn't get to see the panel, did you?
God, no. I wish I did, but...
Okay.
Most of the information comes from RK himself, as well as like a few users on Twitter who are like live posting.
Right. Now I'm sure over time we're going to see more postings of this panel, because again, I'm surprised that it wasn't streamed or shown off, and it's not like people were under any sort of NDA to keep quiet about it. I mean, there was a guy clearly behind the Nero cosplayer recording the TV. I mean, he wasn't trying to hide or anything. So, yeah, people were allowed to record there. So, there will be more stuff coming out about this. So, if you want to let us know in the comment section below, go for it. So, that being said, thank you all for being very patient. I do have more content in the pipeline ahead. So, again, just stick around for that. I'm sure you guys will be excited and ready to support it whenever it comes out. I want to thank DevilNeverCry once again for being here for the podcast. And well, thank you all for watching a long time, but not a hard time. I'll see you guys next time.